I thought he looked beat 2 weeks ago. I thought he looked... If any other player needed taking out of the team and out of the squad, but then, like I said, the international break's done him good. He's come back, and he looked, like I say, look his true self, and people were starting to question him in a big way and say, look, this is not the answer to Manchester United. You know, they need to go and sign another striker, and they might still need to, but at least he's showing what he
Gary,
is.
he isn't. He might be one day, but he's not the finished article right now.
No, but he wanted to.
He's not scored enough goals in the Premier League to say Man United can hang their hat on him being the man that's going to take them back to where they want.
No, I get that,
He needs help.
But he's still young. I don't know how many games he's had at Manchester United. He's still young.
No, he
has
everything to be a player, but right now, 21 years old, like last year, this year he's been asked to be the main man. It's the hardest position to play on a football pitch. He's not ready to fill that role right now. He needs help. But like young boy James will need help.
But Graham, Manchester United have a choice to make. They either stick with him and believe in him in the long term. But you can look at Liverpool's front three today. I look at Firmino when he first
come to... What do you mean it's a case of sticking with him?
I look at Firmino when he first come to England, Salah when he was first at Chelsea. I look at Mane when he was at... You never saw that side. That sometimes players have to develop into what they're going to become, and Manchester United have a choice to make.
Man United have only one choice to make. Who they buy? You're not going to tell me that Man United
they're not going to come off
over
the
next 3 years
they're going to come off with him.
Settle with James and Rashford as a main striker.
No, but what I'm saying to you is you can't just pull
off.
off.
They have to buy. Is Greenwood at 17 or 18 going to be?
They do have to buy, but not necessarily at the expense of Marcus Rashford. Why at the expense of Marcus Rashford?
No, I'm not saying it's at the expense of him. I'm saying right now he's not ready. You talked about it off air. Forget midweek. Forget going to Belgrade. That's the problem you have. You don't have a squad where you can challenge on all fronts. And a 21-year-old, the most difficult place to play on a football pitch is up front with a lot of the time on your own. And it's too much for him. Too much for any 21-year-old you can name.
I'm not saying he doesn't need help. My point around Belgrade in midweek is this squad cannot go Liverpool, Belgrade, Norwich, Chelsea. I think it's Bournemouth away. It can't do it at the moment. So you're going to have to pull off him and maybe choose games. But Manchester United are going to persist with Marcus Rashford.
Of course you are. I'm not saying you're not, but I'm saying he needs help. You can't have a 21-year-old as your main man at a club at this size.
We've talked a lot about him, Jose. You have managed him. We've talked before about the best position. You've told us it's from the left. You think that he is suited.
Well, like today with two players in attack. When we beat Liverpool a couple of years ago and he scored the 2 goals here, we played with him and Lukaku up front. I don't think he's a 9 that can play against low blocks. I don't think he's a 9 that can be a target man. I think he's a man of movement. He's a man that needs space to attack space and then to attack defenders with the ball on his feet. I don't think he's a pure 9, so it depends of the model of play. If Ole wants to play always the way he did today, I think he's a perfect striker for him.
But we've talked about that now. Having worked with him, having worked with some of the very best young players in the world as a manager, what could he become, do you think, Marcus Rashford?
He's young, but he's experienced. One thing is you are young and you don't have enough minutes. One thing is you are young and you never play. Another thing is you are young and you play since you are 18. With 21 years old, he has probably more matches in the Premier League, in the national team, in the World Cup, in the Euros, in the Champions League, in the Europa League, than some play with 24, 25. So for me, the point is not his age. For me, the points are his qualities. And for me, he is potentially a very good player. He's a very good player in some models of play. He's a very good player in some positions. As a target man, as a number 9, I don't think he has these 30 goals that a top striker has.
How can he get better? How can he get better?
For me, he can't get better as a number 9. For me, he can get better and better and better, playing the way they did today, playing from the left side, playing with another one as a target man. But for him to be the target man in matches where United is dominant and playing against defensive teams, against low blocks, I think is difficult for him.
Do you think he's got a big future here, Roy?
Yeah, of course. He's a talented boy. But we're talking about the pressure on him over the last few months because of Lukaku leaving, going, you're going to be the main striker. A lot of players don't want to be the main striker. They don't want to be the main man. I think he does want to probably play in wider positions. We're talking about his strengths. His strengths is pace, really. And that where he can affect the game more from coming in from wide or obviously on the counter-attack. It's still a big problem for me. He doesn't score enough goals. And again, if you want to be the main striker at Man United, I don't think he has that. I know he's a good athlete, but doesn't have that big physical presence. I don't think he's great with his back to goal. And but a talented kid. And I do agree. He is still learning his trade. But the pressure on him over the last few months, I don't think he's dealt with it that well, because I don't think he wants to be the main striker.
Do you think that it's worth gambling again in January then, with Martial coming back?
It's not gambling, January. United have to go into the transfer market at the earliest opportunity, because they obviously didn't replace Lukaku. They do need, those young lads out there, Pereira, McTominay, Rashford.
But in terms of a striker, Gary, it does feel like a gamble with the kind of names that are being talked about. When they're talking about, on one hand, a model of signing under 23s, and on the other, very experienced strikers.
They have to still buy to a style of play. It would be no good them just signing a striker to replace Lukaku in the same type, because I don't think they want to play that way.
Exactly.
They have to play the way they want to play and sign a striker to suit that style. And Liverpool play with 3 mobile strikers. Firmino doesn't score 25 goals every year, but he does an unbelievable job. I love him to bits, but he doesn't score 25 goals. We had strikers at Manchester United who didn't score 25, 30 goals every year, but they did brilliant jobs. You can still win without a striker that scores 25, 30 goals.
You need a striker.
But what kind of striker? What kind of striker?
One who scores goals for a start. Oh, when you're talking about, you said there...
I'd like Firmino. He doesn't score 25 goals. I'd like Firmino at Manchester United.
Firmino's a cute and clever player, but look at the assist he'll make. I mean, you sign a striker to get goals. You're saying you want a striker who's the equivalent of maybe Rashford on the other side.
I'd like Son from Tottenham.
Martial might be a player.
Strikers
How long can you wait?
If they don't score goals, their contribution for the team is close to 0. And there are strikers, when they don't score goals, his contribution for the team is huge. And Firmino is a good example of that. Firmino, if he doesn't score goals, his contribution for the team is huge. There are other strikers, if they don't score, is 0.
I think United want a striker like Firmino, like Son at Tottenham. I know he's not a striker, but that type of... I think he wants that type of player. I don't think he wants a typical striker who basically is going to go and be a Lukaku or a Costa or that type of player. I don't think he's looking for that type. I think he's looking for more mobile types, front 3 or front 2. I don't think he's looking for those types.
What do you think he needs, Jose? You can't say Lukaku or Zlatan.
I don't want to go in this direction, but again, my direction is quite simple. The players are not always good for you. Good players sometimes they are not good for you. Depends the way you think. Depends the way you want to play. Depends. You can even buy a striker that is on the bench but has a certain profile that during the season he comes on at home last 15, last 20 minutes. He scores 4 goals, but these 4 goals they mean you draw or you win. These 4 goals mean 8 points. If you have a real objective in terms of points, in terms of position, sometimes you have strikers on the bench that are fundamental for that objective. If your objective is to build a team and to say all the time that the objective of the team is the future, the long term, the future, the long term, the kids, the young player, and you hide behind that, then you don't need. Then play Mason Greenwood and then give Mason Greenwood time to grow up because he has a kid with potential.
You strikers, you want the ones who put the ball in the net. Don't put them in a category. Go out and see who will get 25 goals a season for you.
I say, for example, when you speak about Europa League. Europa League is the biggest chance that United has to play Champions League next season. So if you don't play with Rashford, you don't play with the best players, you have a risk of not winning the Europa League.
I come back to your goal scorers. I've got a real problem with goal scorers. Just goal scorers. It's my personal situation. It's personal like. It's not everybody's like. Some might like a tall striker. Some might like mobile strikers. Goal scorers that stand in between the sticks, I don't think necessarily at this club have always just worked. I think this club has always had strikers who can play in pairs. It's always had strikers who contribute off the ball. Of not just... So Aguero would not be...
Van Nistelrooy, would you put him in that category?
I'll make a point about Van Nistelrooy. I've spoken to you about this. We won less championships with Ruud van Nistelrooy at centre forward than when we brought Louis Saha back. We brought Louis Saha in to replace Sir Alex Ferguson did. Brought Louis Saha in to partner Wayne Rooney. All of a sudden, the team became electric again. It counter-attacked in. He was nowhere near as good a finisher as Ruud. He was nowhere near as good a striker as Ruud. But the team became better, and that's my point. I don't. Ollie wants a striker in that nest. I think he wants a mobile striker.
Where Man United are now, they just take anything.
No, but
see the names you just went through there. Just think the names you went through. The centre forwards, the firepower you have.
You should buy those players.
Whether it's Andy Cole, whether it was Teddy Sheringham, whether it was Dwight York, whether it was Van Nistelrooy, Van Persie. Think of those names. Write them down tonight when you go home, and write down the strikers that Man United are operating with
But
now.
they're not available.
It's a world away.
But
When you, that's what we're.
But Graham,
Don't
that's looking
be
back.
putting any strikers into categories. Strikers are the hardest thing to find. That's why they cost the most money. If you can land someone that gets you 25 or 30 goals a season, and he's not exactly what you want, because he's not going to run around and run in the channels and put the fullbacks under pressure, you take him anyway, because that's where Man United are. That's a start. And then fill in around him. You're struggling to score goals. That is the first target for a striker you need. How many goals?
When Jurgen Klopp came to Liverpool, he didn't even give Benteke a chance. He just chucked him out of the club because he didn't suit his style of play. Ollie's done the same with Lukaku. And Lukaku's a far better player than Benteke. So my point is, Ollie's not just going to go and sign a striker just because he scores goals. He's already chucked. Lukaku would have done that. Lukaku is a great goal scorer. He's a great goal scorer, Lukaku.
What am I not getting through it?
What am I not getting through?
Look where Man United are right now. Look where they are.
He's let Lukaku
I read
go.
an article a couple of weeks ago. They've got Paul Pogba to come back, they've got Shaw to come back, and they've got Greenwood to come back. Greenwood? 17?
Graham.
That's how desperate
Graham,
you are. Don't get goal scorers out of games.
He had a goal scorer in Lukaku. He's a proven goal scorer at the highest level. He didn't want him.
And that's been a smart decision to start the season without a replacement for him, hasn't it?
That's fine, but my point is, what you're saying is just get anybody in.
No, I'm saying a goal scorer. I'm not saying anybody.
They do that.
Go and
They
get
don't want goal
Kane.
scorers.
Just go and get Kane from Spurs, easy.
You'll be popular with Spurs fans.
Just go and get him.
Serious?
Yeah, what you're staring at? Yeah.
But that's what Man United. That's what Man United should be batting. Right. That's the kind of. That's what Man United should be batting.
Go and get him.
Go for the best. Always have done.
They're in disarray. Go and get him.